Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Yasser, and I'm a Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services. I work at DXC Technology as an Office 365 architect. In this video, we'll look at a script for creating teams from Excel using the PnP PowerShell and Microsoft Graph. So I created this script some time ago when Microsoft Teams PowerShell module was not based on Graph, but the script does a little bit more than what the PowerShell module for Microsoft Teams, and now the PnP PowerShell also have the same commandlets available, handled a little bit differently. So I created this script that uses the core Graph API. So I thought I should make a video and explain to you if you have such a requirement where you want to create teams using a CSV or Excel file, it might be helpful for you. So first, let's take a look at the concepts. The first thing we need to notice is that the concept is simple. We have an Excel file where we have a team format. You can consider as bulk creation of teams, or the concept of creating multiple teams using Excel file. So in this Excel file, I have different columns like team name, mail nickname, team type, which is the private or public, classification, which could be classifications that you have defined in your tenant. Do you want to delete existing theme? I have some of it implemented, but not all of it. Description, you want any channels to be created, owners, members, and tabs. So you can specify this information. Plus, I have a message value which will be logged when the team is provisioned. So if I go back and let's modify the theme, I'll say Sunday night team, and we'll call the same name for the mail nickname. So let's call it Sunday night team. We'll leave it as private. Classification is internal. I think I have few of them, but let's leave it as is now. Description, this will create a new team and channels. So I can specify the name of the channel. So you can see that I have a channel for team. I can call it channel one team uh, private, and it will create two channels. The character that I use for separator is hash, and I'm using it for multiple. The owners can be specified using email address. So I have a hash between them. You can have specified multiple owners. Same as members, you can have multiple members that you can assign using the hash separator. I have channels, so you can see that I have the name of the channel and then the tab. So I'm adding some sample tabs in there. You can have, channel two, and then that's the name of the channel, and then the tab that you want to specify, and the finally the message. So that's the Excel file. Nothing's fancy. You can create multiple if needed. But it's just the code, the script already implements multiple, but you can create one or many. So with that, I'll close that file. I'll save it. Some other thing that you need to understand the concept for authentication. So we are using PnP PowerShell. So it means that we will be using PnP Online or Connect-PnP Online, which basically interactively interact with you. It will basically, once you specify the scopes. So if I look at the script here, what I'm doing is I'm specifying some of the scopes or permissions in Azure Active Directory. So I'm using group.read_all, group.read_write_all, and directory. The minimum that you need is the group.read_write_all and user.read_all. But because I was just testing my script, I just added few extra ones for some other things. These are the minimums then one that you need to add. So once you connect to connect-PnP online, what will happen is that it will, for the first time, it will ask you to authenticate, of course, and then you will have to provide your username and password. Once you authenticate, it will use the OAuth 2.0 access token, and then it will allow you to automatically create the permissions and get you permissions to get the access token. Um, you can also use your own application ID. So by default, this command will use one of the out of the box or one of the PnP provided application ID, but you can also create your own, but make sure you specify the parameter of the client ID to this command. once you are authenticated, you need to get the access token. So you can get the access token using the PNP graph access token using get command. So it will give you that token, and then everything else is a simple. So the concept is I use the import Excel module to read the Excel file, and then I loop on each item that is added to that Excel file, collect some of the basic information from the columns, all values. Then I parse those information. But before I do that, I make sure that in the script that I told you that I have a code there that says if the team already exists, then go ahead and delete it. So you can actually, I'm making a query against the teams saying find the team where the team name is equal to the name that is provided in the Excel file. Once you specify it, it makes the HTTP request or in using invoke dash rest method. That is kind of our constant method here. So you'll pass this, you run this method, provide the parameters using the URL, and it will give you the response. If there are multiple teams there, you will loop on them and decide what to do. For now, what I'm doing is I'm simply saying, hey, this team already exists. These are the names of the owners you should contact to. We are not deleting. I have not implemented the code to delete the existing team. You can do that if needed. Remaining is simple. Remaining is just parsing those values that we have specified as a hash separator. So you can see that first I'm handling the members. So I'm getting all the members. I'm separating them using hash. And once I have them, I'm looping and creating an array variable with the array members. And the same concept applies to owners. I'm separating the owners using hash and then adding them into another array variable. The next step is to actually create the object for our members and owners. So you need those objects in a certain format. So for that, you need to make sure that you read the documentation for the Graph API by yourself. So if you go to the Graph API right here, you can go to the beta endpoint or the V1 endpoint, and then you go to the teamwork, and then in the teamwork you can group in the group and then click on create group. So this is the function that, or this is the API that we are using. So look at the request object. So if you scroll down, you see that there is a request object that is predefined. So if you notice here, this is the request object right here. So if we take a look at this object, this is the object that we have to build in our script. So we need to have, this is technically a hash table, and hash table is consist of these, the value and the key. And so here's the key and this is the value. So we'll actually have to build this in our script one by one. So I'm using hash tables and array lists together. So if you have a requirement where you have to pass on keys and values only, you can use a hash table. But if you have to pass multiple objects, then you have to create the array list first. And then in array list, you can add multiple hash tables. This is the basic method that I found that you can call using Graph API. There might be another way of doing it, or might be a better way of doing it, but I haven't looked into that. The reason is that the Teams PowerShell module and the PnP PowerShell modules are pretty good now to handle these. So now let's go back to the our script. So if I go back to the script, you can see that I'm creating the graph object. The first is the members. So look at the documentation for creating a team. So if you look at the create complete request for how the team works, it will actually be this format. So you will have to have the array members in the format of users. So you see that graph 1.0, I'm using it, I'm fixing it in there, and I'm passing it like that. You might need to look at which API you want to use. If you're using V1, you can use V1, but make sure you look at the examples carefully. At certain times, I found that it's mixing both. So be careful on what URLs you're using. So you can see that I'm creating that object right here in the array list. And once you're done with that, we are creating the owners in the same way as the members. And then the next part is actually to create those objects. So you can see here, I'm creating group URL. The group URL is my graph v1 endpoint URL. So if I if I'm sure it's loaded. So if I run it again, you can see that it's using graph.microsoft.com/v1/groups. And then below is the body object. In the body, I'm creating a hash table of display name, description, group types, and mail enabled true or false, mail nickname, that whatever is coming from the Excel file, security enabled true or false, and then the two values that you have specified. So again, this is a trick that you need to read those values carefully and make sure you provide these values exactly in the same format. So if I run this part here, I'm sure I have a previous run in there. And if I run it and make it a little bit bigger, you can see that the object, the complete request body is in there. That you can actually, if you want to try it, you can actually try it in the Graph Explorer as well. So you can actually log into the Graph Explorer and then grab the complete body from here. So if I go here and copy that and go to my Graph Explorer, which is right here in the screen, I can actually execute it. So I can go to the screen and I can go and say Microsoft Teams. And if I say, let me see if I'm on V1. So I need to go to groups. Here you go. And I will say, let me see if I can have the groups here. So I can do a post, and the post I will have body. And to make it easy for me, instead of finding, I can just go back to my script and grab the URL from there. So I had the URL right here. So it's v1/groups. So let's see if I v1/groups. And this is the body object. So I can change the name for a little bit. I can say a team from Graph Explorer. I'll say team nickname Graph Explorer. And if everything is good, you can see I already have the members. I'm logged in already. So if I click on run query, if everything is good, it should automatically go and create the team. So you can see that with one click, I was able to verify that my object that is converted to JSON is perfectly fine. The team is actually being created right now um, behind the scenes. So it will finish anytime and I will be able to see that. So you can see that the team is created. This is the ID. We I think I will be the owner of the team by default. But anyway, that's just an example of how you can run it and verify if your response is good or not. Now let's go back to the script. And here you can see that we have if I scroll down a little bit, the remaining is exactly the same. I build the object, then I convert it to JSON, and then I make invoke that dash rest method, pa- provide the URL, and then the header, the token, and in the body I'm making the passing the body with the method post. So it's mostly get and post. You can see that once the group is created, I'm making a query to find if once the group exists. So here I'm doing kind of a wait. Um, because I want to make sure that the group is completely provisioned before I continue. I found this absolutely fast. It just runs the script and the teams become available, or the group become available. And once I'm done with that, this is where we are going to the next step. The next step is the settings for the team. So we are creating certain values like, allow, create, update channels. So you can create different, based on the documentation provided by the Graph API, you can create different different settings, and you can pass these settings in the body of the create team command. Now, one thing you might say is that why I'm creating a group first and then creating a team. It's just I found that it's much feasible because you can easily implement policies. Technically, you can do all of that step in one go. At the time when I wrote the script, there were some improvements that were in progress. So I use this method. So you can see that I have some settings where I'm saying messaging setting, allow user edit message true, allow user delete message true. I can set it to false. It means that the user will not be able to delete message once they send it. You can say allow Jiffy true and Jiffy content rating true. Then once you're ready, you can say the group/group ID/team. and the whatever object that I have specified above, I'm just passing it to the like an empty object. So I'm passing the empty object to the command and just telling Graph API to provision a team on top of that group that we just provisioned above. Once that has happened, I'm again looping on it and waiting is a do while the team is available. So once the team is created, at that point, I'm actually getting the team, getting its display name and showing it on the screen. Once I'm done, this is where I'm start handling the channels. So again, I handle the channel. I get the channels from using hash. So you can see that that's the channels that I got when I ran it last time. These three channels right here. And then I'm looping onto each channel and creating a body object, again, based on the description and documentation of the Graph API. I'm creating a body object, and body object contains those values. Once I have those values built, I'm running the invoke method to actually create those channels one by one. Now, once those channels are created, I am actually logging a message in the general channel. So you can see that here I'm using the messages API or the messages endpoint uh, that requires that you have the team's channel URL, channel ID, and message. So basically, it's a full URL. If I run this command, you can see it's actually graph.microsoft.com/teams, then the team ID, then channels, then the channel ID, and then the messages. So this will allow me to post messages uh, to the general channel. So I'm writing a basic message from the Excel file. So I'm not reading from right now I'm using it from here, but technically you can read it from the Excel file as well. Next, I'm invoking the method. And below, I have a little bit of sample that I have not implemented, or I've commented that line where I'm actually posting a card. So you can actually post a card using the same Graph API. So look at the documentation of posting a message using Graph. And then, if you want to enable it, you can do that. So I left the sample here for you to actually try. It's actually writing a nice card with the text and button that you can click in that theme. The next is actually I'm adding a tab. So in the general channel, I'm actually creating a tab that will show Google Maps page, which is the embed URL. So actually, it's an image um, the a field in Pennsylvania. So you can actually see it and guess which field is that. And this field will add a tab. This will be a tab, and it will be interactive. You will be able to zoom in and out. It's actually Google Maps, or sorry, Bing Maps. And there's a link to actually go and see it in Bing Maps. So that's the whole script. So let's quickly run it. Um, I will just simply go and press F5. So you can see that I'm adding some verbose logging here. So you can see what commands are being executed. So it normally finishes pretty quickly. So if I go back and expand my team that I created for you while it's running, so right here, this is the window. So you can see that the team that is being provisioned. So Sunday night team is being provisioned. But anyway, this is the team that I created a few minutes ago. So you see here, team one, general. If I go to general, it's haven't posted it yet. So you can see here, welcome to Microsoft Teams from Cherry Yasser. And if I go back to my channel one, which is a private Teams private, and it has the tabs in there. And I have channel two and I have channel three. And then I click on general. So you can notice that I have another tab here called places to go. And I click on it. So I have the field here, which I want you to guess what it is. I live in Pennsylvania, which is 50 miles live like 50, 60 miles away from Philadelphia. So it's definitely is Philadelphia Eagles. So you can click on it and actually see the field, and you can see that it's actually Bing Maps. So this is the basic script. Again, you can grab that script from my blog, and I will also upload the Excel file, so you can actually go ahead and run it to create any team you like. The thing is that to run this script, you must have the PNP PowerShell module or PNP PowerShell SharePoint Online module installed. And also you should have the import Excel module installed. And of course, you need Excel. So with that, thank you very much for watching the video. This is a script that can be used for many purposes, but if there are better ways to do that, please share a reply or post or message, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.